Hello everybody, my name is Scott Favor. I'm with Virginia Mobile Air Conditioning Systems, also known as VMAX. Today we're going to do an out of the box on Webasto Air 2000 Gasoline Medium Duty Kit, part number 5012558B. We're going to take a look at the contents of the box so that anytime you order that part number from your local Webasto distributor, you'll know what you're going to get. So let's get to it. We pop the box open and this is what we see. We got your heater is in this box, and then all the rest of these parts are your accessories that are going to make the heater work for you. This heater is not vehicle specific. This is intended to be a universal kit, so all these parts will work with pretty much any type of vehicle, provided it has to be gasoline, because this is a gasoline heater, and it has to have a 12-volt electrical system because this heater also requires 12 volts to operate. So first thing we have out of the box are our installation instructions. So these are pretty complete instructions. There's around 39 pages in here, I think. We've got mounting templates for the heater, so you can use the mounting templates to map out the area on your mounting surface for each of the holes you want to drill. The instructions give you two options. You can use the individual holes, or you can use the single 4-inch hole method. Either one that'll work for you. Here's our instruction book. It's very detailed. It's got specifications on the heater, dimensions on the heater, all the little do's and don'ts for every little component that you have to install. So it is 39 pages to the back cover. So complete instructions. Always refer to the instructions when you're installing one of these. That is the default correct information. Next item in here is the heater. So let's go ahead and pop that open. So our heater, when I'm talking to folks on the phone and they've never seen one of these heaters before and I'm trying to describe the size of it, I always describe it as roughly the size of a shoebox. So when you're thinking about doing an installation, if you've never used one of these before and you're trying to figure out where you're going to put it in your vehicle, just think about how big a shoebox is and give it a couple extra inches on each side, and you'll usually be fine with the area that you need. So pulling our heater out, this is it. We've got an inlet and an outlet on the ends of the heater, direction of flow arrow on the top. The air inlet and outlet, this is for the air that's going to be heated in your operator space. The ends of the heater, you can use 60mm air ducting with this heater. The larger heaters require a different diameter ducting, which is larger. So this kit does not come with air ducting, but it is available as an accessory, 60mm. On the bottom of the heater, we have the combustion air. This is the air that goes inside the heater to create the heat that's going to heat your air that passes through here. So we have our intake for our combustion air, our exhaust for our combustion air, 4 mounting studs for mounting the heater to the vehicle, and our 1 fuel inlet. So the fuel pump for the heater pumps the fuel into this inlet, burns in a sealed combustion chamber inside here, air is pulled in, the exhaust gas is pushed back out. The ports on this heater are 22mm. So your combustion intake tubing will be 22mm inside diameter tubing to fit over this 22mm tube. Same with your exhaust, 22mm. This cable is your fuel pump cable. So it comes with no cable connector housing on it. You'll install this housing once you have the heater mounted in the vehicle and you're working on your electrical portion. So the housing is in the kit. It just comes bare to make installation a little bit easier. So this is where your fuel pump's going to hook up. Our next item out of the box are our floor mounting plate, our floor mounting plate gasket, and the gasket that seals the heater to the mounting plate. So we have our metal mounting plate, which is in here, our foam gasket. If you can see that real good, it's a nice gasket, about 1 inch thick. And then we have our small oval shaped gasket, which is rubber and fits on this oval surface on the bottom of the heater. So if we take that oval gasket, which looks like this. It's hard to see in the other package. So this fits right on the bottom of the heater here, which then seals the heater to this mounting plate. This mounting plate is nice. It's steel, it's powder coated black. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick in construction, so it's got a nice weight to it. This fits right on the bottom of your heater like this. And then your surface mounting gasket is here. It's got your holes pre-drilled in it. So this will go here, and that will seal your heater to the mounting surface in your vehicle, so that basically everything that is here in the middle is now outside the vehicle. So your combustion air inlet is going through here, your combustion exhaust, and your fuel's all going through here, completely separate from the operator compartment. We don't ever want to put combustion intake air, exhaust air, or fuel inside a sealed compartment with a person. That's not a good idea. So that's the heater and the mounting kit. Next thing we're going to pull out of the box is the fuel standpipe. So this is the fuel standpipe. This Webasto considers this our medium duty fuel standpipe. Comes with instructions, as you see. The medium duty fuel standpipe has a tube and a real tight 90-degree angle at the top. So this is a real tight angle. Your fuel line is going to hook on here, which is then going to go to your fuel pump, which then pumps the fuel to your heater. So what makes this a medium duty standpipe is how tight this angle is. It performs the same function and works the same way as Webasto's heavy duty standpipe, which is what's in most of their kits. So in comparison, the heavy duty standpipe looks like this. So we have the medium duty one with a nice tight angle at the top, because in a light duty or medium duty application, your fuel tank is mounted up under the floor, and there's usually only a couple of inches clearance between the top of the tank and the vehicle floor, so you've got to make this work in that tight space. Whereas on the heavy duty vehicles, you usually have much more room to work with, so they don't have to worry about that clearance issue. So there's your standpipe. You would drill a hole in the tank, measure the tank depth, cut your standpipe to length, insert it in the tank, and you now have your connection to your fuel source. Next item we're going to take out of the box is one of the fuel component kits. So in this bag we have your fuel pump. Fuel pump looks like this. It's kind of hard to see in the bag. It looks like this guy. There's that connector housing, which I talked about a minute ago, right here. That's going to plug into. It's going to plug into those two wires that are coming out of the bottom of the heater. You've got several meters of fuel line. This is a plastic fuel line. It's very durable. And we've got your fuel tank, or not your fuel tank, but your fuel pump mounting bracket. So this fuel pump mounting bracket is the newer style that's been out for a while. It looks like this. It's 100% rubber, with the exception of this little metal insert, which is where the bolt goes through, where you mount this, where you bolt this to the vehicle. So you insert your fuel pump in here, bolt this to the vehicle, and your fuel pump is hanging there. The old mounting bracket looked like this one. It's a rubber coated steel bracket. This bracket worked just fine. However, because it's metal and rigid, it had a tendency to transfer the ticking noise that's made by the fuel pump into the chassis of the vehicle, and sometimes amplified the ticking noise that the pump makes. So it depended a lot on how you installed it, but this bracket works great, but it's been replaced by this bracket quite some time ago. This is a nicer bracket. I think Webasto calls it a rubber fixation is what they actually call it. This is available separately if you've already got a airtop heater and you would like to try and reduce the noise that the pump makes. You can order this separately. The part number is a 9001441B, so you can replace that and get on about your business. So there's our fuel pump hangers. Our next components out of the box, let's do this one next. So this is more fuel system parts. So in this bag we have some straight fuel line connectors, rubber connectors. They're, I don't know, about 1.5 inches long. We've got your fuel line clamps, and we've got your fuel filter, and Webasto does also include in here a 90-degree molded fuel elbow. So let's talk about those parts individually. We've got your fuel filter, which looks like this. So this is not the same type of fuel filter you would use on your lawnmower. It looks like it, but it is not. This fuel filter has a ceramic core. It's rated to filter down to 25 to 30 microns. That's very small. So how big is a micron? A micron is tiny. Micron is a typical unit of measurement that's thrown about when we're talking about filter efficiency and how small a filter can filter down to. So this is a micron chart, kind of give you an example of the size. This outer circle would be a human hair. If you sliced a human hair, the diameter of a human hair would be 88 microns. So that 25 to 30 microns that filter filters down to is this dot right here. This is a 25 micron dot in comparison. So that's how small of the debris that filter is removing from your fuel before it'll allow that fuel onto your heater. So always use a fill filter. This is very small. You cannot get this kind of filtration from a pre-screen that you see on a lot of the cheaper heater models that are out there. They come with a little pre-screen. That's good for larger trash, but not good for what Webasto says their heaters need. So always use a fuel filter with your Webasto heaters. If you need that fuel filter separately, the part number is a 504-87171A. So that's our fuel filter. The other items we had in here are our fuel line clamps and our hose. Our fuel line clamps look like these. These are a different type of clamp than the standard worm drive clamp you see at the hardware store or the auto parts store. They work the same, just a little screw you tighten down and it clamps up, but these clamps in particular Webasto uses because these do a really good job of providing a 360-degree seal around your tubing. So you have a much less chance of pulling air into the fuel system because these do a better job of sealing than a standard worm drive clamp. So please resist the temptation to run up to the hardware store and purchase just a regular old worm drive clamp to do your installation. These are available separately if you need them. The regular clamp, which is the one that comes in this kit, is a 5012000. If you need some of those, you can get them separately. But the worm drive clamp, or the fuel line clamps, or fuel filter, the next item in there was our rubber connectors. They look like these here. So I've assembled some onto a fuel pump. You have your straight connector, your fuel line, which I showed you in the other bag, that length of line, and then they have a rubber 90-degree elbow in there as well. So your fuel line just slips into the rubber tubing. You put the clamp on there to tighten everything down, and then the rubber tubing also slips onto your fuel pump. It'll slip onto your fuel filter. I just didn't put it on the filter, but it just slips onto the ends of your fuel filter, and it also just, and the the rubber also slips onto the end of your heater. I lost my place there for a second, sorry. So these are your connectors to connect your fuel line to each of the individual components. So next out of the box, we have kind of a multi-pack here. This has got a few different things. It's got a length of convoluted tubing in here. Some people call this wire loom. It's plastic convoluted tube. You could use this to put around your fuel line, which gives you an extra layer of protection against chafing or some type of debris you might run over in the road. Help keep that fuel line protected. This stuff is very durable even without this, but good idea to protect it if you can. There's a handful of wire ties in here. It looks like 10 or 12 wire ties. There's a grate, which is this piece in the center right here. This snaps over the end, the inlet on the end of the heater, prevents any debris from getting sucked into the heater from the operator compartment. Then we have some bolts. There's 6 bolts here, about 2 inches long. These are the bolts that secure that steel plate, this one right here, to the floor or the mounting surface in the vehicle, along with the nuts. So the next item out of the box is your main wiring harness. This looks like a lot. It's not really that much. One of the reasons it looks like it's a lot is because it's long. This kit is intended to be a universal kit, so they really don't know what type of application it's going to go in. So they make the harness a little on the long side. That way you're sure to have as much wiring as you need to get where you need to go, and whatever you don't need, you can just fold it up and tuck it away neatly. So on here we've got a couple of ring terminals, which are down here on this end. This is going to be the end that hooks to your battery. Got some ring terminals, your positive and negative on your battery, followed by the fuse holders for your circuit protection. You put your fuses in there. We've got your main plug. This is the plug that plugs into the heater. You take the little door, take the little door off the top of the heater. This little guy right here, you see this This shaped opening here fits perfectly to that shaped grommet right there. So you put that guy in there, plug it into your heater. And then your other connector is going to be this guy right here. This is the connector that's going to connect to your heater controller, the dial where you control the temperature. That's really about all there is to it, to the wiring, guys. The rest of it is just a matter of running it through your vehicle in a way that is acceptable to you. Next item out of the box is going to be our fuel pump harness. This harness connects one end to the fuel pump, which is that little black terminal right there. Plug goes here. The other end plugs onto those two wires that come out of the bottom of the heater that I showed you earlier. Once we get the heater installed, you're going to install that connector housing, which is going to match this housing. Plug them together and you got a nice weatherproof seal. This harness comes in 2 lengths. This is the 2 meter length. It also comes in a 7 meter, I believe. 7 meters is 21 feet. So if you need 21 feet, you got a really big vehicle. But it is available if you need it as a longer length. This is usually plenty. Next item we have here is a little accessory pack for our combustion air inlet and exhaust. This is our clamp for our exhaust pipe that clamps the pipe to the heater, the clamp that clamps the combustion intake air tubing to the heater, some P-style stainless steel clamps. They're support clamps for holding the exhaust pipe up into the vehicle where you mount it. There's 3 or 4 of them in here, so you can make sure that pipe is securely mounted under the vehicle. Next item we're going to pull out is our controller. So this is the little temperature dial that you're going to get. This is the dial that Webasto's used for a very long time. It's a simple part, highly reliable. So your wiring harness, this is one of the connection points on there. Just plugs in the back and that's your temperature control. Next thing we have is our combustion air inlet tubing. This is about a 1/2 meter of aluminized tubing. This is the tube that the air sucks into the heater for combustion. When you're running this, one end hooks to the heater and the other end will be open somewhere under the vehicle. You want to put it someplace where it's not involved with any water that could be splashing up from the tires or road debris that could get sucked in or pushed in. So you want to keep this somewhat in a protected area. And the last item we have in the box is our exhaust tube. It's a stainless steel tube. This is about a 1 meter length of tube. Connects to the exhaust port on the heater. You run it so that the end is extended out past the side of the vehicle. Use all those clamps I showed you to hold it in place. This tube does get hot, just like an engine running. You know, it's putting hot air through that exhaust, and the exhaust pipe on your engine gets hot. This is the same way. There's hot air coming through here, so keep this away from anything that's heat sensitive. Other fuel lines, brake lines, electrical stuff, anything that's sensitive to heat, keep this away from it. So the intake tubing, the combustion air intake tubing and the exhaust tubing is 22 millimeter tubing. I think I measured that earlier. That's available, has a few different options for that tubing. Those are the contents of the kit. So now let's talk about a couple of options. Some of the Webasto options, the combustion air intake, have this little guy. You see this a lot in some of the stuff that's being sold online. This is a combustion air intake silencer. This is not a filter. This is not a filter. Its only purpose is to try and reduce the noise level emitted by the heater during operation. In Europe, they have more stringent noise pollution standards than we have here in the US. So you see these a lot as standard equipment in European kits where they're not in US kits. Webasto does tailor the kits that they put together to the markets they sell in. So this is available as an option if you would like it. The silencer part number is 98141A. This is not a filter, it's just a silencer. The next option we have is a muffler. So this is the muffler that would go on the exhaust pipe. It's stainless steel, real nice quality. Again, this is an item that you would see typically included in a European kit. It's not included in this kit as you saw. It is available separately. If you want to try and use something like this to get your heater to be as quiet as it can be, the part number on the muffler, if you want this as a spare, is a 1320488A. So again, an option. Now, We've got a couple things we've put together in-house to help eliminate the use of the standpipe for some of you that might be do-it-yourselfers. The transit vans and the sprinter vans, which have gotten really popular since they were released a few years ago. Those vans have auxiliary fuel ports made on them from the factory. We've put together a couple kits using some components for those so that you don't have to drill your tank and install that medium duty standpipe. The first one we have here is our Promaster kit. This kit is made of all Webasto parts. We get every part in here from Webasto. There's a special 90-degree rubber elbow. This molded elbow is a step elbow. One end fits the push lock fitting right here. This push lock fitting snaps onto that auxiliary port on your tank. You then hook this rubber elbow to this fitting. You then hook the fuel line from your kit to the other end of this rubber elbow. We have all the necessary recommended Webasto fuel clamps in here. We put this together in one kit. Our part number on this one is a 10-7-0010. If you didn't have that one part number, you'd have to find 1, 2, 3, that's 4 individual part numbers you'd have to figure out. So you order that one part, you get this one bag. That's everything you need to connect to that auxiliary port on your Promaster. We've done the same thing for Ford Transits. Ford Transits have 2 different fuel tanks. They have one fuel tank for diesel and one fuel tank for gasoline. This is the diesel kit. Same situation, that same step elbow fits the push lock connector that goes to the fuel tank. In the case of the diesel, there's a pickup tube that goes in there as well, along with your Webasto fuel line clamps. The part number on the Ford Transit diesel tap kit is a 10-7-0009. And then the last fuel tap kit we have is for the Ford Transit gasoline. This one is our part number 10-7-0011. It's got the same stuff in it, the push lock connector for your, trying to get the right angle on the camera here. The push lock connector to snap onto that port on your fuel tank, your rubber elbow, and then the fuel line clamp. So again, 4 different part numbers that you would have to find, 2 different vendors. In this case, and the case of the Ford diesel, the push locks actually come from Ford. All the rest of the parts come from Webasto. So we use good stuff in these kits for you. Again, these are not Webasto part numbers, these are our part numbers. What those look like when they're put together in the vehicle using the special rubber elbow, they would look like this. So this is the one from the Ford. So this guy would snap onto your auxiliary port. You've then got your special elbow with your appropriately sized clamps. We do give you extra clamps in case you over tighten one of these and tear the threads up. And then your standard fuel line just fits in here, fits together, nice neat package, just like that. Appreciate everybody watching today. You can see all this stuff on the web at our website, www.vmax.net. We're an authorized distributor. As I said earlier, you're welcome to give us a call with your questions. We're here to help you. That's our job. If you want to try and, if you need spare parts for your Webasto, you need to try and find those. We'll be glad to help you look those up, or you're looking for a kit for a new installation, or just need some technical support. That's what we're here for. So thanks for tuning in today. Again, I'm Scott Favor, Virginia Mobile Air Conditioning Systems. Give us a ring, 757-650-0957. Have a great day.